Good evening, everyone, and welcome to number 4 of the Overcaffeinated and Overqualified podcast with myself, Ryan, and David, or ChefDeMarco. This week, we have a very special guest with us, my longtime best friend, fellow ex-Bob Evans employee, former EVE Online enthusiast, man of many opinions, current college student in pharmacist tech, future pharmacist, the man himself, Mike, or FroStMyPJ. How
Hey,
you doing,
what's up,
Mike?
guys? I'm doing pretty well tonight, you know? Nice little Friday night, hanging out with my boys. So,
Another night with the boys. That's always a good time.
you know it.
Uh, so being as it is the evening for this recording and broadcast, there is no coffee, so we can't discuss that with anybody. So instead, we've got some bevs going around.
Some
So
brewskis.
David, what are you drinking tonight?
We're drinking Miller High Life. Miller High Life is what the choice is today.
Oh, a classy
Yep.
beverage.
Yep.
Champagne of beer.
Champagne and beer.
What do you got there,
Classy.
Ryan?
We got a classic, Michelob Ultra. Can never go wrong with the low carb. We got to keep the figure down.
There you go. Alright, yeah, I got that Bud Light. The Browns can. Look at that.
Ooh, special.
Ooh.
I don't know, maybe the
It's
can will help.
It's a sharp-looking can, you know?
Maybe the can will help him out this week.
Fucking
That and a combination Monday night.
need it.
Oh, for sure. It was a little rough that last weekend one,
Yeah, it was not good.
to say the least.
Titans, had their way with them, as they say.
Oh, definitely.
To try to put it mildly.
Yeah.
So, going over a little bit from last week's episode, just start off with a little bit of discussion about goals and maybe anything that resonated with anyone from last week's episode. David, do you want to start?
So what resonated with me with the 19 minutes to change your life with Earl Nightingale, the one thing I think I noticed the most about his talks, and this is what happened last week, he's very upfront with the way he feels about people and their actual procedure and the way of life they should be going about it, and he doesn't bullshit. He's very serious. He's from the 50s, so he does have a mild tempered kind of way of talking. He doesn't swear. He doesn't. I don't think I've ever heard him swear. I don't think he ever does. But it's just straight to the point, cut and dry. That's it. It's awesome.
He was
Yeah,
he was very direct in the clips that I watched of it, or that you played on the stream. Yeah, he had something to say, and he said it. He didn't, directly. It was nice.
Yeah, I definitely think you're both right. I mean, from just that, you could definitely say himself being a radio broadcaster has that approach about him and that certainty in your voice. And whenever you can speak with that, it makes you such a more enthusiastic and more people want to listen to you more, or they take in what you're saying a little bit more because of how confident, direct you are in what you're saying. At least in my opinion, I see that from speakers.
Yeah, I definitely agree with that, especially with him.
Yeah.
I took one thing mainly though,
Uh-huh.
and it was a quote we got at the beginning, and it says, "Act as though it were impossible to fail."
Yes, that is a good one.
It's a good one.
And what about that? It stuck with you?
So the way I've taken that in my life is to know it's going to be okay as long as you know you will never fail. Do
Mhm.
everything with the utmost respect towards people and the utmost passion for your work or service
Yeah.
you're providing.
Yeah, I like that. Like you said, it's you got to go all in, and as long as you kind of keep going all in, despite what happens, you will eventually succeed. Failure isn't an option at that point.
Good way
I love
to
it, man.
Mm-hmm.
make sure you put your whole into it. You're not holding a little bit back in case you fail.
Mm-hmm. Of course.
So what stuck with you, Ryan? Answer me that. The man of many words.
I don't know about that one. We'll get there eventually, hopefully. For me, it definitely thinking about things more or less over this week. I realized that I wasn't going 120% towards my ultimate goal. Obviously, last weekend now, went to the Summit of Greatness in Columbus, and that was definitely an experience. Talked about that briefly last week. And obviously there was a lot of engagement with it. So when you go to any kind of event like that, you do you can do exercises, and it's always just like, and obviously one of them was, what is your ultimate, goal? What do you ultimately want to have? And it was financial independence, being able to work without working, or not having to work without working.
Mm-hmm.
And realizing that and knowing that was my thing, thinking about it and looking back this last year for sure, haven't really done much moving towards that. After I paid off all the debt I had from getting my house, the credit cards, it was like, there was bottom line there. I just, for whatever reason, I stopped. There was nothing else after that. And sitting back and realizing that now, it was like, wow, I basically wasted a year, and I don't know how much money, in a sense, at this point, that wasn't a good investment. So definitely realized that I need to be spending more time learning and listening to stuff when it comes to how to invest and manage money, learning the game, all that kind of stuff, just everything money. I don't want to say I know a lot when it comes to self-help and development and all that, but that's been a part of me for over like 5 to 6 years now. And for whatever reason, throughout the past 3-4 years, I've still been like trying to focus on that a lot.
Mm-hmm.
And it's not that I'm not learning new things, but instead of learning what I need to learn, I'm still focusing on things that I'm already very passionate about and can carry conversation and talk about. You know what I mean?
Right.
So
Yeah.
I need to be more focused. And then there's just one quote that I want to share from a video I watched. And this really kind of changed my perspective about just kind of money in general.
Which one was this?
It was from Grant Cardone. He's big in the real estate and stuff. And he said, basically, if your money isn't making you money, you're basically wasting money. So, i.e., if you have $5,000 just sitting in the bank, that money's not making you anything. It's just sitting there. So the idea that I had of always having like that backup thing, that backup amount, now obviously that's good to have a little bit, but if it's just sitting there not doing anything, I'm like effectively just wasting that money at this point, and have been wasting it for however many years it's been there, because it's not going anywhere. The goal is to have more passive income than earned income. So to say that now, I guess you could say over the last 2-3 years, I focused a lot on getting more earned income, but have not looked into any ways to earn passive income. And passive income is how you make long-term financial success. So I haven't.
Can you define passive income?
Yeah. So I haven't learned anything about passive income, and that's where the success and the ultimate goal lies in. I've met all my goals for earned income and money when it comes to work, by practicing the art of the act of doing more than I'm paid for. So there's that, and that's good. But I need to focus more on passive and the ultimate goal, ultimately.
Awesome. Mike, did you have anything to say in regards to the making money while, like, having the money make money for you? Do you have any thoughts on that?
I mean, yeah, it's the having your money make money for you, just sitting in the bank. It's a balancing act, though, because you never know when stuff's gonna go belly up and you're gonna lose. If you have it all in, not even high risk but low risk, sometimes you'll lose money on those if the market goes down the drain. So it's a little tough sometimes. You gotta be a little careful with it. Make sure you still have some backed up.
Yeah.
Obviously. But going back to at the very beginning, Ryan was talking about how you wasted a year after you basically accomplished your goal, and you just sat around and did nothing because you didn't set another goal after that. I've been seeing that a lot with my friends just graduating college. Like,
okay.
The end goal is just graduate college.
Yeah.
And then they get out and it's like, wait, what do I do now? And
Yep.
they're not really. I mean, it takes them, some of them just a summer, some of them a little bit longer. But like they, just didn't get much accomplished after they graduated. They just didn't have that extra goal ready that they were thinking
Mhm.
about what they need to do next. They just, the end goal is graduate. After that, it was, oh wait, now what? So definitely think you always gotta have a secondary goal after year one,
Mhm.
so that you're not wasting time in the transition period. You know.
Right.
Yeah, of
So-
course. So I definitely think we might have mentioned kind of maybe brushed on, like you said, building on the goals in one of the first 2 episodes.
Small
which
goals
is,
and then
which-
obviously the bigger goals.
Yeah, which is amazing to hear that, because a lot of the things that I listen to when it comes to people talking about kids getting out of college and our age and stuff like that, that's the issue they run into is, you're working for however long to get to get through college and get that degree, and then after that it's, where do I go from here? Maybe
Yeah.
someone finds a job and they get the job, but then they don't like the job,
Mhm.
or they get out of school after they went through everything, and you're burnt out from that, and you don't want to get a job maybe right away or something like that, or you go through all the schooling and you're like, I don't know if I really want to work in this anymore. I just did it for this long or something like that.
I couldn't imagine
So-
that.
So like definitely when you get in towards the end of college, you have to set yourself up for what you want to do. Do you want to move back home and get a job to save money? Do you want to go to a city and explore like that new environment there? Just be open to other options. Through the end of school, did you do internships that already have a job lined up? Stuff like that. There's just so many different things out there that
Right.
you can do. But if you don't have that next goal, you have no direction and no aiming point. So you're stagnant in a way.
Mm-hmm. Have you guys seen the movie Limitless with,
That's the one with,
Bradley Cooper?
Yeah. Yeah.
We
takes,
so
like,
going the pill.
Is that the pill? Is
Yeah.
it the pill movie?
He'll
Yeah.
unlock like his full potential.
So
Yeah, untapped potential.
going back to the like the day trading and stock market, I know it's a transition, but he obviously didn't have enough capital at the beginning, so he got money from a Russian mobster,
Mhm.
and then proceeds to make first day he made 2K off his, like, I don't know what it was, like $200 or something like that he had.
Mhm.
And then throughout the whole beginning of the movie, he makes millions of dollars, obviously with some sort of, pharmaceutical drug, that's obviously fictional, not real.
Yeah.
But do you guys think that's actually possible to make that much money in such a small amount of time in today's, like, trading culture?
So-
I mean, it's definitely possible to lose that amount of money in that small time,
Right.
but it'd be really hard. You have to find like you have to play those super high risk, the puts, the holds,
Mhm. You have to be an
stuff that
active trader.
with the stuff that you're just actually just gambling money off of.
Mhm.
Right.
So
Just a thought. I just
really
wanted to
trading
bring
at
that up.
point.
No, that's good. So just like, one thing, obviously I started reading some book on financial stuff, and a lot of it, when people talk about people who are actually successful when it comes to money, multimillionaires, billionaires, and all that, the Warren Buffetts and all that of the world, when it comes to managing money, none of those people dabble in high risk investments. Like,
Oh yeah.
you know what I mean? It's all, long-term planning, becoming an investor versus being a consumer. Instead of going to Starbucks and buying the coffee, I'm going to buy a Starbucks stock today,
Right.
and then plan that into the long run. Be an investor, not the consumer. And when you kind of set yourself up for a longer plan, you have less chance of failing, as it were, or losing, as Mike said.
Yeah.
Interesting. This turned into a stock trading
Oh yeah.
podcast.
I didn't
No,
do my
no.
research for that. Uh-oh.
Right.
Yeah, don't.
Just pull up my
not
Robin
really-
Hood app real quick.
Not very first on that topic at all.
We'll do that
yet.
another. We'll do that. We'll do a full
Yeah.
scale one eventually.
Yeah.
Put in a week of research into it and actually talk about
Highs and
some
lows.
intelligent points.
Right.
Yeah.
That's
Intelligent
hilarious.
knowledge, what you picked up.
So you wanted to start off the podcast talking about nostalgia, or did you want to continue on with what we were going to talk about?
So the only other thing, I guess, we hit it all. Mike had some very good takeaways from last week, which is good. There's, he said, whenever you listen to those kind of things and you actually kind of take in what it's saying and can accept, as I think I said last week,
Mhm.
the reality that it is the way it is. You know what I mean? You're not I don't know if naive is the right word to say, but it's just like, oh, that can't, if it can't be as simple as just thinking that, or, writing my goal down, and writing my goal down. It can't be that simple. You know what I mean?
Right.
Getting that done can't be that simple. And definitely there's a lot of today's world that doesn't think that that's a thing, but proven time and time again that it's as simple as that if you actually do it. Just like whenever you want to do something in reality, you actually just have to kind of go out and do it, no matter how crazy it may be. That's the first step, is actually doing it.
Right,
So,
and I think for me anyway, one of my long-term goals is to own a house, and you obviously
mhm,
have accomplished that as a young
20-year-old
20-year-old, I
guy.
would say. And I currently just rent a room in a house, so technically I'm
mhm,
kind of there. But obviously the long-term goal is to own a house and get
mhm,
equity and stuff like that. But my small goal was to move out of where I'm at right now,
yeah,
and that's just for personal and stuff like that reasons.
mhm,
And in the past week, I'm kind of going towards that, which feels good. You know what I mean? It feels
Yeah.
like I'm
mhm,
actually getting somewhere. Looking and talking to banks for loans, or just talking to let's say like apartment tenants or whatever, whatever it could be. I was doing both this week, talking to realtors and mortgage lenders, stuff like that. So it
mhm,
seems really nice. A lot of things to juggle. I had to put a lot of
yeah,
reminders in my phone on people to call and stuff like that, because
mhm,
I would just totally forget, because there's so
yeah.
many. Um, so what do you think, in your opinion? What do you think, in your opinion, that I should do in the short term for what I'm trying to accomplish? Either, you know, get like a condo, something small, or should I go into just apartment renting, or basically what I'm doing now, which is renting a room? What do you guys think
S-
for my situation?
So I'll lead, because starting to listen to the stuff with money and stuff like that. Going back to kind of mentioning Grant Cardone, his big thing is you never want to own anything. Money is never yours. Is the inception,
Mm-hmm.
is the idea. It's you put it into things that'll make you money in a way. But his basic thing is you never own a house, never own a car, just rent, lease that. So kind of the mentality with that is, mentioned this before real quick. In a way, I put myself in a situation where I kind of got stuck with a house, or that was the mindset I had towards it. So I made it work and it was good. But if I had it over to do again, I would be trying to live somewhere renting right now for as reasonable as the price as it was for what it was worth. So let's say, we'll take a roommates I have, for example. So they charge $400. I charge $400 a month. That's what they pay. They keep everything else. So let's say you're making $1,000 every 2 weeks, roughly. Your rent's $400. That means you have $600 at the or yeah,
Yeah.
$600 at the
20.
end of that
You
week,
got
plus the
1600.
1,000. Yeah, 1,600 plus the 1,000 for the
Oh
next
yeah.
pay period. So
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
1,600 total. So let's just say you have a car payment, maybe you buy food or whatever, so that's $600 more. That means you have that means you have $1,000 left at the end of the month. So what are you doing with that?
Interesting.
From what I've learned is you need to start learning how to invest, and you need to get that money making money for you now. Index funds, some sort of real estate investment, stuff like that. You have to get it out there. So, and then in like a 5 to 10 year margin, maybe, of you doing that, because right now you're still trying to build your brand, right, David? You want to become,
Right. Yeah.
kind
Yeah.
of a private cook, grow within the
Chef.
community. So you're trying to grow a brand.
Right.
So you don't need the responsibility of owning your own place, right? You don't need
Yeah,
to
and
waste an
all the
hour every week
logistics,
cutting
all
the
the
lawn.
logistics.
Mm-hmm.
It was just so
So,
much for me.
mm-hmm. So minimize the amount of things you have to worry about when it comes to living. Invest the money that you're saving, and then in 10 years, when you're set up independently as your private chef or whatever you want to do, then you have $50,000 that is compounded over 10 years, maybe more, that you can put down into a house or into a
Right.
condo or something
Right.
like that. And then you have a low payment. You don't have to worry about splitting that bill with anyone
Mm-hmm.
or anything like that. And
Sounds great, actually.
yeah. So that's the renting. And then just one other thing. This is something else I saw, and this is exactly what I've done with my situation, is if you do decide to buy a house or whatever, so you buy a 3-bedroom house, you rent out 2 rooms or 1 room, and you use that to cover the cost of the mortgage. So
Right.
then you still have that top money from your paycheck that you can invest into your 5 to 10 year, or 10 to 20 year future, right?
Mm. Okay.
So it kind of all depends what you want to do. Like I said, one thing that I've learned is if I could do it again, I would rent or live back at home so I don't have to deal with all the extra hassle and responsibilities that comes with owning something.
Right.
Like
PMIs and stuff like that.
you mentioned, like you said, how much of an investment it was, and it is, because it's not only a money investment, but it's time.
Yep.
The one thing that I've learned just with how connected I am with where I live and everything that I've created here is, as much sense as it makes to sell it and to be able to invest and put more into my future, I'm connected here and I like this, and I want to continue to make this something. So I'm not ready to just sell it or get rid of it. I don't. I just can't see myself doing that. I don't want to do that.
Mm-hmm. Interesting.
Yeah.
Interesting. Mike, what do you think about that?
Yeah,
What's
I mean,
your situation like?
well, I'm still in college, so I'm just chilling out. I live at home still,
Right.
attending school full time. Got that easy life.
Easy.
For now. I working at it. As we said earlier, pharmacy tech. So don't get too many hours a week, just because it's a lot of people working there, and school doesn't really allow me to work those hours. So just saving up some of the money. Eventually I'm gonna have to get an apartment. Probably when I go to pharmacy school. It's not gonna be local, or if it is, it's gonna be in Kent, which is a good hour or so drive from here.
Mm-hmm.
It's gonna be a little rough to do every day, but yeah, I don't like, with renting and stuff. It's a little different than paying like a mortgage and stuff.
Right.
When you rent, that money's gone. It's never, it's not coming back. That's just
Right.
down the hole. But when you own a house and you're paying the mortgage on it, eventually you sell it. Sure, yeah, there is interest payment where you're not getting it all back, but you're still getting a decent chunk of it back when you're selling it. You're not just throwing it into the void of rent,
Mm-hmm.
the void of leasing.
Yeah.
Like, cars are a little different because those just devalue so quick that,
Depreciation. Yeah.
yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I learned
But-
this thing actually recently. It's about 8% closing costs every time you want to sell a house. So in about 5 years, if you own a house, you could make potentially a profit if you only live within like a 5 year range. You obviously can make more if you live longer in the house because the 3% appreciation of houses is usually normal. I don't know if you guys heard anything about that, but
Yeah.
that's usually normal. So let's say you only live in a house for 5 years, you sell it, obviously 8% closing costs, so you want to cover that and then add some profit onto that. So that could work. You could literally live in a house for 5 years and then sell it.
Mm-hmm.
In like theory, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
Very
that's just
small
another way to
theory.
play the real estate game.
Right, exactly. Fix it up, add
Mhm.
value, add a fence around the backyard, do whatever.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
Very
and then
interesting.
to your point, Mike, about renting versus owning, you're 100% right with throwing it away. That's when it comes to funding somewhere to rent. So let's say if you get a house, right, and let's say you get a house, right, your mortgage payment's $1,000. Use simple numbers again.
Yeah.
So you're paying $1,000 a month into your future, as it were.
Mm-hmm.
So
Yeah.
let's say David's renting for the 400. So he's got that 600 extra
Yep.
to cover the rent versus the mortgage. So when you're renting, the point is, since you're not investing in your future house and what you can get back in it in the future, what are you investing that extra $600 in now
Yeah.
that would appreciate
Mm-hmm.
in the same way? It's just all about how you use that extra money. That's what the difference. I get the point I wanted to make, I guess, when it came
Yeah.
to renting versus owning, and how, like I said, I'm committed to that long game. And then
Right.
also remember to pay your mortgage off early, so you don't pay that interest that David talked about.
Yeah.
The interest
Watch
is
out for
what
that.
kills mortgages, and is why a lot of people preach don't buy things like that, because of the interest.
Mm-hmm. Which is, houses usually like, I want to say below 7, and at the least probably like 3% interest. You know what I mean? It's usually never lower than 3% for a house.
Yeah, I think 3% is
Or
probably
I'm sorry, a
lowest.
mortgage loan.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because a house obviously is just a stationary thing. It's the money you pay for it is what's
Mm-hmm.
interest is gaining on.
Bank loans.
Exactly. Exactly. So I guess I could talk about a little bit about what I'm trying to do as a side income, and I don't know if you guys have any like side incomes. I know Ryan has passive income. Currently, I don't have any passive income besides like what I put into myself, which is kind of like a weird thing. Like knowledge, I guess, for my profession. You know what I
Education
mean?
and self-development is self-investment.
Right.
It's
So
your
I
business.
guess that's kind of like the same thing. But for what I'm trying to do is basically just host parties either at people's houses, because obviously where I'm going to be, I won't be able to like host a party at my house. And there's a little bit of like FDA guidelines for that, or like food grade or food health guidelines.
Health code stuff.
But if you're in someone's house and you're providing a service to them, there's a little gray area for that. Obviously, I am certified in food safety and all that stuff, so that helps. And I've done it before at people's houses, and it's kind of like a lucrative business, which I feel like people like lucrative stuff. Doing something lucrative feels like you're kind of like, sticking it to the man. Obviously, you should claim those not investments, but claim those profits, so you don't get, I don't know how to say that, so you don't get like just bummed at the end of the year because your taxes, you didn't pay all your taxes.
Yeah.
Which is
Don't wanna
what you
get audited.
should. Yeah, you should pay your taxes, unless obviously you own multiple things, and I guess you could, what is it called when you not tax break, but you
Write off
basically
as a
like,
business expense.
yes,
Right? Is that what you're
bingo.
thinking?
Totally.
You can get away with
just
writing
write
off
off
a lot of things as business expenses.
And a lot of corporations do.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that's what they do.
Amazon doesn't play business or doesn't pay taxes because it mainly it's smile.amazon. I don't know if you guys ever do that.
No.
But all those donations, they just write that off.
Right, and
So they
it
just never pay
counterweights
taxes.
kind of.
Yeah.
Interesting. I need to start donating money.
Yeah. I forget
No,
how much. I think a business has like unlimited donation write off, but I think a person has a max that you
Really
can't write it off after a certain point.
Huh.
Not
interesting.
100% on that, but I believe that's how it works.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
There's a lot to learn when it comes to like looking into like what you could playing. I don't want to say playing the tax game, but being smart about it. If you have your own business and what you can write off and what you can save in taxes, and that's the same for taxes when it comes to investing and stuff like that. You have to learn that game, as it were. I guess I think that's like the best way to say it.
There's a reason that accountants exist.
Yeah.
CPAs.
CPAs especially.
They're
There's a reason they get paid a lot more.
Right.
David, mentioning right there that the whole coming to people's houses and wanting to do parties, maybe I'll book you this year for Friendsgiving. So
Friendsgiving.
I don't have to
Oh.
fucking
That's-
cook everything
that
again.
sounds
so-
So am I getting
Trying to
invited
kick me
in
off.
a weird way?
What'd you say?
Am I getting
Trying to kick me off
invited
the
in a weird
turkey.
way?
Oh no, you would have been invited anyway. But
Oh. I would-
it's just take some of the pressure off of me and Mike.
Okay, Mike, what'd you say? I want to hear.
He's just trying to kick me off the turkey.
Oh, it's Nikes.
Making
This guy
making this
shoulda
turkey.
played-
Oh, I'm sorry that the turkey took an extra half hour to cook. I could have just served you guys raw turkey, but
That's not good. That's bad.
yeah.
We would try to deep fry it outside Ryan's house.
Ooh, that'd be
Start
a
a
big move.
fire.
Yeah, deep fried
Yeah, I don't-
turkey's good.
I don't have a big fat
Deep
frying
fryer. Yeah.
something to fry.
I
it
got
in,
something
you
at
know,
work
so-
I could work with.
Yeah, I was just baking.
Right, and then
Turned out pretty well though.
usually you do
That's good.
like 20 minutes per pound for the turkey. I think that's like a generalization.
I think so. I always just
So-
Google it.
Right, exactly.
Comes out alright. Then you just
And I'm-
check I just check the temperature all the time. So.
Good. What are you
Mhm.
cooking it to? Like, do you know
Poultry
the temperature?
I don't know it off the top of my head.
165.
Is it 170?
165. 170 is like safe.
Okay.
Yeah.
I don't remember what I took. I think it was 170, honestly.
It's all good.
But
So let's. I think we should start talking about the topic of
Yeah.
Yeah, so-
today's
finally
podcast.
slide into the
let's-
title.
So let's slide right. We're gonna slide right into it. So, living for nostalgia. Now, this is like can be nostalgia in anything. I first think of it in movies a lot in the entertainment business because that's something that I love and I'm very passionate about. So like you've got all the live action Disney movies that are coming out. There's a lot of remakes from classic cartoons. So that's a lucrative nostalgia move. Buying into the feels you had back when Aladdin first came out and trying to mimic that now in a new way to today's generation, right?
Mm-hmm.
The Jumanji reboots, which are actually really good. People love those and they're actually pretty good.
Surprising.
Yeah, the new Mummy movie, and that's not so good of a reboot, but
Nah.
still trying to capture the past feels, right? They redid Halloween this year. The new Planet of the Apes trilogy. You got
Some of
Hellboy.
these though, like I don't mean to cut you off, but like the Mummy especially, it wasn't really cashing on nostalgia, I guess. They didn't like remake it. That was a full hard
Reboot.
reboot.
Reboot, yeah.
Right.
Some of these are full like reboots rather than nostalgia remakes. Like the Mummy was definitely one of them. Uh, there's been a couple others where they just take the name and the base concept and make an entirely new movie out of
Mhm.
it.
Mm-hmm.
But
Oh no, you're right. You're 100%. Like that's just like
yeah,
reboots that I guess I thought of, but definitely nostalgia is I would call it the Disney stuff.
yeah, oh yeah,
And then
they're definitely cashing
so-
on nostalgia.
yeah.
Some of 'em-
But go ahead.
Yeah. It's also it's a half cashing on the nostalgia and half just Hollywood being lazy and not taking risk on new stuff. It's just
New
it's
content.
worked in the past. It's gonna work because nostalgia will immediately get us back our money.
Mm-hmm.
If it's good, we'll make even more out of it. Like just safe investments because they're too afraid to do anything. Not too afraid, but they're just comfortable.
Yeah, it's easier to be comfortable.
You want that ROI, return of investment.
Mm-hmm.
And they know they'll get that every single time.
Yeah.
Yep.
Exactly.
Totally agree.
So, I guess I really thought about nostalgia in general when it comes to entertainment when everything was coming around with classic WoW, World of Warcraft. People who don't know. Excuse me, but one of our buddies, big World of Warcraft guy, been in it for 10, 15 years,
Mm-hmm.
since like played original vanilla back in the day, and he ended up getting everyone of us involved. So that's what I'd say probably 5 to 10, maybe even more people,
Yeah,
into it.
really, really pull out the troops on that one.
Yeah.
Right.
So it got everyone in it, right? And then, when this game was announced, the internet kind of had a very positive reaction to it. But then when it came out, it was huge. It 6-hour queue times for the first week. Still
10-hour
2
queue
hour.
times sometimes.
Yeah, still
Yeah, it was-
2-hour queue times now. If you get on in the evening, 2 to 3 weeks later, a player base that hasn't declined after the first week, which
Slightly.
me
It has
personally
slightly.
didn't expect to happen. I didn't expect the player base to stay up for so long.
Mm-hmm.
I thought it was going to be a 1 week high, like most things are that kind of do the remastered, release the classic kick. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it was very interesting to see that happen, and just seeing everyone like just buy back into this. I mean, one of the cool things that I saw, I guess, was after the first week, Blizzard stock, a company that's been going down for a while now, saw its first increase in years or a
Mhm.
year from
Yeah, I
investors.
think it's been about a year since.
Yeah, because of this game coming out and the success and popularity that it has garnered in, and
It's also the monetary system. How they make money off WoW is just it's such like a great system for investment. For investors to
win.
look at.
Yeah.
A subscription based where they have to buy the game and also like it's not just they buy the game and that's it. Like they are
Mhm.
actively making money off of everyone that plays that game at any
Yeah.
given time.
Yep.
every month.
Exactly.
Even if someone buys their subscription with gold, I'm pretty sure you have to buy someone has to sell that and originally buy that with money.
Yep.
So
Yeah, I don't know
There's
how
no-
because-
there's no way to make that to like actually have that game and not pay Blizzard money. Even
Mhm.
someone's
Exactly.
paying if you're not. It's like
Yeah.
EVE Online where even if you get your free subscription, someone paid that for you. So
Mhm.
Making money in the long run.
that's why I think that's why their stock went up so much because it's such a it
Yeah,
is
yeah,
the
that's-
dream of any
Mhm.
company to get a subscription based.
the subscription service like that is huge.
Yeah.
And as I said when I first bought the subscription for my first month, $16 a month is legit highway robbery for what you're getting for that. Like,
2019, some people are actually paying
$15.
16 bucks a month.
Taxes about
Insane.
17. Yeah.
Yeah, I can't
Yeah.
believe they pulled it off, but they did it.
yeah. So,
You see their stock.
mm-hmm.
And it was a risk, in my opinion. So what if it didn't? What if it didn't do good? What if all those
I don't
servers
know
that
if
they
it was a
made-
risk.
I think I would say that it wasn't a risk agreeing with Mike because, like other games that came out way back when, right?
Right.
Over the years, when you throw more into it, the player base definitely declined in a while, right? You know?
Retail, yes. Legacy.
Yeah.
Or no, retail.
It
yeah.
never, it hasn't been in the top 5 or 10 of Twitch probably in a minute. Just not as many people are playing it because you have the high subscription cost, right? That we talked about. And it's also combined with the players that started playing originally. You get a lot of people I've learned that play classic games as much as they did in the past. As new features are added and new ways of doing things, sometimes they're okay with it for a while. Sometimes they don't like it right away. But eventually that like core player base kind of fades away. And when you're charging $16 a month plus a $30 charge for a game like that, I don't think Mike, a college student's gonna pick it up, right?
Yeah.
See him picking it up, just try it out. You know what I mean? I don't see myself picking up to try it out, unless knowing that I have someone that I'm gonna play it with, right?
Right. Would you try to help you out?
Mhm.
I would say.
So this game coming out with having a lot of hype behind people craving that classic feeling of just grinding things out, you know, not having all these complex systems to doing things. You know, people I guess get tired of fast traveling everywhere and love walking for 3/4 of their gameplay to get from point A to point B. I guess that's something fun. I must have missed out on it at some point.
Yeah.
So
It was a full reset too. Full reset. No
Yeah.
heirlooms, no BOAs. You don't get anything from your previous hours and hours, hundreds of hours of playtime on retail. It's a full reset. People loved it.
Yeah, so that's maybe another thing that you could consider like a draw in for people was the fact that everyone's a fresh start, you know? Yeah, whether you're new to the game, old to the game, equal playing field in a sense.
It was on the surface an equal playing field, but once people actually started realizing that classic WoW still had the same exploits as the original classic WoW,
Vanilla, yeah.
you know, the rich got rich once again. But
That's funny.
classic story.
Yeah.
There's always the bourgeoisie, you know.
What's that
Can't
mean?
escape it.
Us proletariat down here gotta make our way in the system of a bourgeoisie system.
What is a bourgeoisie?
It's just the rich people.
Oh.
It's a term from the French
5%?
Revolution. That's like the 1%.
People controlling everything or making the rules behind the scenes.
Rich people are the bourgeoisie and the poor people are the proletariat.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Never heard that term before.
It's originally from one of the French revolutions. I don't
Yeah.
remember which one it was. It was one of the 7 of them or something.
There's a little couple over there.
Yeah, they love their revolutions.
So the whole classic WoW thing got me thinking about, and I also heard this from a couple other people comparing it, but I've never been a WoW guy. You know, I enjoy playing classic WoW with you guys, but still not a fan of playing by myself. I'm preaching it to the choir with that. The only reason why I got into it is because we got 5 to 15 people committed to playing it, and now people come back, help me play. But I've always been a RuneScape guy. I never played old school, which is like classic WoW, the hype of a game, right? The prime time. People have all the fond memories and stuff like that. And RuneScape's just another example of throughout the time when you add features, you went from classic to just legacy, and then now RS3. A lot of people hung around for legacy because all it did was it was like a graphical update. A lot of times in games you have graphical updates. But then when RS3 came out, they revolutionized the combat system and changed a lot of the interface. And you lost a lot of those old school players to that. So you had that declining player base again, like we talked about.
Wasn't the big one for RuneScape was the combat update, right? That's
Yeah,
what old
RS3.
school is right before the combat update, I think.
Legacy's before the combat update. The combat update was RS3.
Yeah. So what's old school at?
Old school is basically Legacy, which is the version before the combat update, but the graphics are just like older.
Oh,
And
they
there's
just
a lot
set
less.
the graphics down too.
Yeah, there's a lot less items and like stuff in it as well. Like it's vanilla when it comes to like the content in the game.
Right. I got a buddy that
Doesn't have.
only plays old school. He will refuse to play
There's a
RS3 or
lot of
whatever it's
people,
called.
Yeah.
Oh
He
yeah.
refuses.
So, yeah. There's a lot of, and so like I said, when RS3 came out, a lot of the people just stopped playing, And it wasn't until they announced Old School that there was a resurgence in the game itself, basically.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And just to say how popular Old School is, to your point, David, your friend not only playing that, I don't think RS3 ever has more viewers on Twitch than Old School.
Yeah,
Right?
that's true.
Yeah.
So
Maybe
you think
like occasionally, like for a little bit, when someone big
Mhm.
goes to play RS3, but the average, I bet the daily average is never above
Mhm.
RS3.
Yeah. So that's just playing like that classic feel, you know? People miss
Yeah.
doing the classic stuff in RuneScape, just like the classic stuff in WoW and stuff like that. So
Nostalgia, man.
yeah, just a
Passionate on it.
very mm-hmm.
What are you guys'
So-
thoughts on the open beta for Modern Warfare? Do you guys watch any of that at all?
Yeah, I heard a lot of good things about it.
Really?
So yeah.
I haven't watched anything about it yet.
Gears 5, huge right now.
Yeah,
Not
that's
huge,
true.
but I mean it's
Yeah,
it's
big
there,
For,
Gears-
you
Xbox
know what I mean?
exclusive.
Yeah, Gears
Yeah.
has a very niche community, I would say, or like big community that's Gears. You know what I mean? Like if you're into
Yeah.
Gears,
Mhm.
you're into Gears, and that community is into Gears.
It's a niche.
Gears,
Yeah.
Gears is a
game.
thing. It's its own thing. You know.
Yeah.
I played a couple of them. I think I played like 2 and 3, a little bit of Judgment,
Mm-hmm.
and I was just, I don't know. It never did it for me. It was a good game, but it just wasn't mine.
This wasn't
So,
your game.
Do you
It's
guys see the
always
Dr. Disrespect clip of him playing Gears 5? I'll
Yeah,
show you
I've
after
seen
the podcast. But another thing I wanted to say about FPS games, I know we wanted to make a point about this. When we were younger, and I know you guys did this, I would play for hours. Call of Duty 4, Call of Duty 5,
Yeah.
Modern Warfare 2, Modern Warfare, just like, you know, I would play for hours. But when I play like BF4, obviously not BF4, but Black Ops, I didn't play Battlefield that much. I know you guys did, but Black Ops, the new one, I refuse to play it longer than an hour.
Mm-hmm.
It's just
Yeah.
too. It's like that young kid ADHD shooter, man. You die and then you just do it again, die, do it again. You know what I mean? I don't
Mhm.
like those kinds of games. What do you guys think?
I think Call of Duty was it's like a, at its core, it was a pretty basic game, you know. There's
Right.
just one level to the game where it's
Mhm.
just you kill people and then you win. Sometimes there's an objective where you kill people and you win by getting the objective. So I guess it's 1.5 layers deep there. But like, there's very little strategy in Call of Duty. It's like, it's sort of like CS:GO, where CS:GO is you kill people to plant a bomb and then you win that way.
Good
The
point,
game is
yeah.
so hard in general that that's where the depth of the game is. It's in the mechanics.
Mechanics.
Call of Duty is not that mechanically
Mechanical
intensive,
game.
and it's not. There's very little strategy that goes into it. So like when you go to Battlefield, it's a big open battlefield. You know, there's multiple fights going on. You can push in vehicles. There's so many extra layers of strategy you can apply to the game.
Mm-hmm.
So I think the Call of Duty model just got stale, you know, because there
Mhm.
wasn't much to do with it. And
Yeah.
then they also mechanics, they never iterated on them and made them more fun, more modern or whatever.
They had a
think
jumping
with
and
this-
wall riding.
Yeah, with that one, that was you know,
call.
I bet some people liked it, but it was never.
Yeah, I would think
After
After
younger,
a while,
younger generations.
people got tired of it and demanded that it
Yeah.
not be there anymore,
Right.
kind of thing. It was one of those things.
Which was why I think they did the reboots,
Yeah,
or
that's
at
why they
least the
went
ones
back
they
to
have
that.
done.
Yeah, I think
is
Modern Warfare is, it should be back to the basics with refined mechanics and, you know, like, should be good again. Like,
Yeah.
oh, you remember, what was that game called? Iron Sight?
Yeah,
Uh,
we all downloaded. It was free to play, right?
The free-to-play, cheap Chinese knockoff of, like, Call of Duty Modern
Time.
Warfare 2, Modern Warfare 3 maybe, and it played exactly like Call of Duty Modern Warfare 2 and 3, and it was so fun to play again, because that game is still fun, but it's just, the newer ones just don't hit that same stride as the old ones did. So
Mhm.
I think they're gonna go
Right.
back to that old stride, that old feel, that nostalgia,
A nostalgia
hope so.
feel. All right, yeah.
nostalgia of like between COD 4 and I think Modern Warfare 3 was probably the last last Call of Duty that really felt like that prime period of Call of Duties.
Right.
I, don't- I will say from just what I've heard from a consensus, I think Black Ops 2 a lot of people say is the peak.
I agree.
I didn't play a lot of Black Ops 2, so I can't comment, but that's just from what like
Okay, maybe it was Black Ops 2.
the big boys say.
Yeah.
And after that, it was kind of more downhill.
Yeah, I mean, after
But
that was Ghosts, which is literally the worst Call of Duty ever released.
Yeah, I know Modern Warfare 3 was my peak. You know, a lot of hours in that game, a lot of high ranks, pretty good.
Prestiging after
of low
one
ranks.
after another.
Getting low on that leaderboard.
Yeah,
Sub 1,000, right?
I was. It's good.
That's
I
awesome.
was okay. But so like kind of what you talked about with layers, I want to mention this for a second when it comes to like Battlefield versus COD, right? I've always talked about this when I talked about the difference between COD and Battlefield. Like Call of Duty, back in the day when I was good at the game, I could carry a game, whether it's team deathmatch, domination, search and destroy. I could carry that game. I could win with my teammates basically doing nothing. But in Battlefield, it's hard enough to win if your squad is actually doing something, but there's points when if you don't have at least 2 squads working proactively towards winning the game and holding up the right objectives, your team's basically playing against you if they don't know what they're doing. Like,
That's fun.
I can only shot call what flags to go to so much before it's just like, I don't know what else to do, guys. Like, we just did this and now our team is doing that and I don't know why they're doing that.
Yeah. I feel
That's funny.
like Battlefield's about to really go back to, they're going to go back to Battlefield 3, I think. Battlefield 4, Battlefield 3.
Yeah.
Because
Interesting.
Battlefield 1 and Battlefield 5, they've really been hemorrhaging players.
Mm-hmm.
And I think they're going to cash in that nostalgia once again.
Yep.
Go back to the classic.
Yeah.
Go back to that feel of Battlefield 3.
Mm-hmm. Like, that's what they tried to do with Battlefield 3 and why it was so good. It was because it was like a Battlefield 2, right? The biggest Battlefield game in the series to that point, in a way, when it came to stuff.
I mean,
and then Battlefield 3 refined it, made it better, obviously. But they still had a whole map pack with 4 maps that were exactly, the big Battlefield 2 maps, cashing in on the iconicness of Gulf of Oman or Wake Island, which has been in I don't know how many Battlefield games to this point, because you think about the maps when it comes to Battlefield or Call of Duty, these maps that people love, and you just keep seeing them again because of how much people love them, and that they're not going to complain about playing on them again because it's just such a good map.
Right, the feeling they get.
Just realized we're going to get Wake Island again. Battlefield 5 for the Pacific Theater.
Yeah.
We have to get that map, right?
Oh, no, it's coming.
There's no way they don't re-release that one.
Yeah.
Do you guys see those memes on like Twitter of like old Modern Warfare 2 maps and like thinking about coming home from school, eating some pretzel rods, playing that map? One of them is Estate on Modern Warfare 2. I think you guys remember Estate.
Estate. That's the one with like the
house
on
on
top of the hill.
Yeah, mansion kind of thing.
That one always is in my head. It will never leave. Never.
That one was like probably the Modern Warfare 2 map.
Rust. I don't know if that was Modern Warfare 2, but Rust.
Yeah.
Huge.
I mean, Rust, you didn't play that often though. That was a meme map,
Yeah, that was like domination, steamroll.
That was when you 1v1'd your friend, throwing knife only.
1v1 quick scope.
Intervention only, or whatever, quick scopes.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's funny.
So like the only thing I want else to mention when it came to like the nostalgia when it comes to COD is I think of it a lot with zombies.
Yeah.
That's a very niche market for Call of Duty, and it's always been successful. I've been praying for them just to finally just release a standalone game with it, just to make it a thing or to compile everything from the past into one area, because I've loved it since its creation. I know my buddy Corey has. It's always a good nostalgia feel when you go back and play. That's why you play it. Just have a good time. It's very relaxing.
Yeah.
And
I mean,
the conclusion to the Nazi Zombies storyline was Revelations, which was literally just iconic spots from the game modes past.
Right.
All in one spot, basically.
Where was that? What game was in that?
That was Black Ops 3.
Okay.
When they finished up that storyline, that direct storyline. So.
The computer just went to sleep.
That's just mine did that before actually. so that's just going back and kind of, in my opinion, going back to like the nostalgia of it. Or just in Black Ops 3, for example, when they released, I think like 5 or 6 of the old maps, just remastered again. Or when Black Ops 1 came out, if you pre-ordered it, you could get all the World at War maps, I think.
That's how it worked. Yeah.
Yeah, I think it was that one. And then Black Ops 2 did the Nuketown. Black Ops 2 did the Nuketown again.
It was an
zombies,
expansion pack you could download and pay for, like all the old school maps on Black Ops 1 or 2, I believe.
Yeah. So it's just like bringing back those old feels, And it's always been something, at least in that series, where if they have a map that people are a little bit hesitant about, that they can re-release something kind of from the past or go back to like an old format, and it turns your player base right back around.
Right.
Yeah. I mean, zombies also, it wasn't really the hardcore fans. It was a niche audience,
Right.
but it was definitely mainstream. Everyone played,
Yeah.
zombies with their friends, where you hang out with your friends and you play a couple zombies games, and you go do something else or something. It's a
Right.
I think everyone played it at the time, but
Yeah.
There's a reason
I
why
guess
we're
you
not
say
talking about the campaigns.
yeah.
That's a different
I
story.
I put a lot of time into those. Beating them on veteran. Ooh. That
Yeah,
was
some of those will like kill yourself. World at War, right? Yeah. Yeah. Some grenades.
The
But you
first
love grenades,
one.
I beat
Just a
it though.
couple. Just a few
Honestly,
grenades.
that was frustrating, but the hardest level ever was Mile High Club in COD 4. The
Trying to
airplane
beat
mission.
the time.
Oh, 'cause you had to get the time, didn't you?
You have only a minute, so it's like it's a perfectly routed. You have to do the route to get through it. You
Right.
have to like throw your flashbang exactly at this point, reload right here while this cutscene's playing, shoot this guy, knife that guy. You're gonna have one bullet left here, and yeah.
I think
it
I've
took
watched a
me-
couple speed runs of that.
Yeah, I beat it. I don't think I watched a video how to beat it, but I was able to just figure it out on my own after weeks of attempting it.
Weeks of trying.
That's funny.
Anyways, nostalgia.
So, yeah. So like going a couple other games that I can think of maybe now, going back to kind of what we said about movies made and all these. These are some of the games that I thought about. Actually, before I didn't write this one down, but Battlefront, right? The new Star Wars Battlefront games, they definitely sold that first one, and even the second one now, I'm pretty sure off of like the Star Wars revamp and entertainment, right? I think. You think you can agree on that? I mean, they sold it on how pretty it looks. The content wasn't there when it came out. Obviously, you didn't know that.
Sounds. Yeah.
It
Looks
looks
and
like
sounds.
sounds.
Yeah.
Like there's just a magic when it comes to dice. I mean, Mike, you can attest to this of when you're playing it, and for Star Wars at least, it's literally like you're in the movie almost. Like that's literally how much it looks like it, and it even sounds like it.
Right.
Um,
You know what game we didn't
Nice.
say, but is on everyone's mind right now? Halo 3. When is it coming out?
oh yeah, I forgot
When is
about
that
that. They're
game
doing
coming
that.
out?
They're
It's
doing
gonna
the
be
math.
Reach. They're bringing out Reach first, so it's gonna be
Right.
Reach, and then Halo 1, and then Halo 2, and then 3.
Talk about hype. You know what I mean? That game is
I completely forgot about that. That's
so
a big
hyped.
one. Yes.
Yeah.
I remember
That's
I remember
huge.
when I gave this kid, he told me that he was gonna give me the new maps for free. I was, God, 11, maybe even 10 years
Oh,
old when I
no.
gave this kid my password and email address. Totally got me. I was very young at the time. And then I went to my buddy's house from school that weekend and beat the entire game on Legendary in like a night.
Snap.
Yeah.
Because you wanted the skins or like the different, what are those called?
Yeah.
Appearances, cosmetics. You know that you get in game for doing all the skulls, beating it on a certain
Like armor pieces.
bingo. And
Yeah.
I never cried so much in my life, dude. Imagine reliving that again. Oh
Yeah.
man. Yeah. But Halo, I can't wait. Come out soon, please.
I completely forgot about that coming out for the computer.
I know I wanted to say that.
It's not coming out for the computer. It's coming out for Windows 10.
I thought it was
And,
coming to Steam. Did they strip that?
It is on Steam, but it's still Windows 10 exclusive, I believe.
Oh, feels bad.
How's
now.
that work if it's on Steam?
It just doesn't run, not on Windows 10.
Man, Mike, you better get that computer
So-
upgrade.
Yeah,
Yeah,
for real.
unfortunately, my computer does not like Windows 10, so stuck here. Can't play. Not that I really wanted to, but Sea of Thieves couldn't play that when it came out.
Right.
The new Minecraft version. Can't get that
Right.
one.
That's funny.
There's so many Windows 10 exclusives that I just can't touch. But
I know.
Got him with the computer.
Right. I know you guys. At least I know Ryan is a huge Assassin's Creed fan. I've only played like one or two of these. What is your? Is there a new one coming out? I think there is, right?
They haven't
yeah,
announced yet.
Yeah.
I don't think they announced it, but there's definitely one coming out next year. Last rumor I heard was it's Vikings. I'm
So my
really hopeful
question-
for that one. Big Viking boy as of lately.
Game of Thrones.
But yeah, I love Assassin's Creed. They did the Assassin's Creed 3 remastered this year. I think.
So my question to
I
you
could've swore
is,
I thought you could get it with something, but I bought it standalone. Maybe I didn't get it with something.
right?
No, maybe. Oh no, I think you got it if you got Assassin's Creed Odyssey and you got the season pass. I think that's what it was.
Interesting.
But you can still buy it standalone.
Mhm.
But that was a cool like re-release. The colors and stuff were different. When I first played Assassin's Creed 3, I speedran it and didn't really take any of it in. So playing it again and kind of taking it in is kind of fun. So that's definitely like a cool like remastered thing.
So that would be a thing that you look forward to then.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, I bought it. I think when I heard that was coming out, I bought the season pass like that day, so I could download it and like just play it.
Right.
Because I guess of how much like Assassin's Creed, or whatever. I thought about going into relaunches, right? They're doing more Doom games, and they're
Yeah.
going when it comes. I've played the first Doom. I don't know if any of you guys played the new Doom game.
Yes.
I
that
have
came
not
out.
yet, but
It definitely plays and goes for that classic Doom vibe when it comes to the way the maps are set up, the way the whole gameplay kind of goes. Just really, really revamped, upgraded graphics and stuff like that.
yeah.
So that really recaptivated that Doom audience that is laid dormant for however long. At least I think so. I never really played the original Wolfenstein games a little bit. Played, I think it was Wolfenstein New Castle, the multiplayer for that.
Yeah,
Mhm.
I remember playing that one.
At the good old game, the original, the OG game days.
Yeah.
Mhm.
That was a thing. But they've redone 2 Wolfenstein games now officially, and then like
They
the
redo 'em?
smaller ones. Well,
I thought they were just
relaunched
releasing.
it.
I thought they aren't new games they're releasing. These are remakes of old ones.
I don't
No,
know.
they're like new games, but I mean like relaunching the franchise or whatever.
Right.
Right?
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
I thought the
what I
franchise
think.
just has been going on for this long.
I feel like it stopped for a fat minute between
maybe it
this
did.
new one, the newest one, to how long ago. I feel like there was a big gap in there. At least that's what I thought when I was thinking of this. I could be wrong though.
Let's see. There's one released in '92, and then
Okay.
2001, 2003, 2000. I mean, there's not really a big gap in any of these.
Okay.
So, I think it's just been
Mhm.
going strong for almost 30 years now.
It's definitely an older game.
40, almost 40 years actually. The first one was released in 1981.
Jeez, really?
I
Damn.
can't. I don't have any input on Wolfenstein. I didn't play any of them, but I do know about them.
They're definitely fun. Definitely a fun shooter to pick up.
Did you guys play any of the BioShock games?
I
think
did.
Mike did. I
Yeah.
didn't
I
play
was,
them
I was
yet.
never a big fan of them, but I did play them.
They did this cool thing. If you own them on Steam, they would just give you the new copy.
Yeah,
Yeah, I saw that. Yeah, the
You didn't have to
remastered one.
buy
or
it.
whatever.
I have all
literally-
those.
They literally just it's
Yeah.
same. BioShock Infinite it wasn't in the running because obviously that was
It's
made
new
way
enough.
after.
Yeah.
But you know, I really want to play those on stream. Maybe eventually. Love
Yeah.
those games. Very scary when I was younger.
Yeah.
But now they're. I mean, they would be extremely fun.
Mm-hmm. Well, that would be cool. It's been something cool to watch. But yeah, I didn't think about even those ones when it came to like remastering those. But yeah, they remastered those. I love the new Tomb Raider series. I definitely would call that a
Oh,
franchise
yeah.
reboot
That's a,
or
that's
Yeah.
a re.
a grab to the
reboot,
old
yeah,
one.
I guess so.
And then on top of doing even the video games itself, they redid a movie last year, right? And
Did they?
yeah, the last year, I think it was last year it came out, but it was a movie.
Okay.
Kind of underwhelming, but I swear.
Classic video
you know,
game movie. Yeah.
Kind of. Corey played the first Tomb Raider game, and I swore to him that this movie was the exact same as the video game, like beat for beat, like everything
no.
was the like. I was watching the video game almost, like
That's
with
funny.
everything that happened. Like it was like, what's going on right now?
Yeah, that's just like
So that was very interesting. I don't know if that's what happened, but that's definitely what it felt like.
You know, I think the big thing that like the reboots and the nostalgia grabbing,
Mm-hmm.
the main reason for that is just because mainstream entertainment is just so they're lazy now.
Mm-hmm.
They don't want to take they're not lazy, but they're just so risk averse and
Yeah.
they don't have to take risk anymore. They take these established stories, universes, fan bases, basically franchises, and they turn them into movies. They turn them. I guess they'll turn books into games. They'll turn books into. And it's not just like reboots. It's what we're seeing right now, the superhero movies. None of those are truly original stories or original characters.
Right.
Some of them are a little revamped, but
They're
they
based
they
off
have
of
a
something.
yeah, and they have a previous fan base. They have storylines. They have dialogue they can pull off of.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
It's it's just it's a big like everything's just getting a little more boiled down, less original content.
Yeah. It's definitely a risk averse thing.
Yep.
This kind of maybe mentioned this before in a previous thing when we just talked about just like life in general in today's world. Everyone is moving towards less risk averse things. We want more. We want to not take risk in our life. We want certainty
Yep.
Mhm.
and stuff like that. And we're willing to do whatever kind of complacent thing that is to get, to that point, right? To limit movies, if you can top the box office record with Avengers Endgame by, in a way, showing different points of views from 4 previous Marvel movies.
Hmm.
Not to say why wouldn't you do it, but that's a nostalgia grab for all those hardcore fans. But going in
It's
Endgame,
tapping
actually,
into existing fan bases.
yeah, going in Endgame, actually, this also is kind of why I want to talk about nostalgia and the entertainment side. I've had a lot of debates with people about Endgame, and Marvel in general is always a good debate topic for people. And a couple people that I talked to who didn't like Endgame didn't like it because of the fact that the first half to 3/4 of the movie was that time grab sequence, right? Where you were going back to the time travel,
Is this the
going back
second
to
one?
Yeah.
yeah,
I didn't see
Endgame.
that one.
Oh, spoiler alert then. But it was a time travel about going back to previous movies, basically, right? So for people who didn't really, I don't want to say enjoy, but weren't really super vested into the series as a whole, they found
Mhm.
that part of the movie kind of stale and boring and just kind of
Yeah.
like, I want the payoff to this. I don't really need this right now. And that's
Right.
why they didn't enjoy. That's why they didn't like the movie. They won't admit that like after that was good or the ending didn't make sense, but that point for like hardcore fans like me, I'm pretty sure you enjoyed it, Mike. I know
Yeah.
a couple other friends enjoyed it. We had no problem with that. We loved it. It was great seeing that other angle. Like that was awesome. I love like that's everything you could have dreamed for, right?
Mhm.
So they really were able to harness that ability of how much people love this franchise and this series as a whole to this point to really help sell in a way or like even make that movie better and more profitable than it would have already originally been for it being the culmination of 10 years of Marvel Cinematic Universe.
Yeah. There's just like two ways to look at those movies, and there's one which I have a lot of trouble seeing, which is like the standalone, just that movie without the context of the rest of the series.
Mm-hmm.
And then there's the view of taking in everything, all the stories that lead up to it, all
Mm-hmm.
movies,
Yeah.
and evaluating it that way.
Mm-hmm.
And one of those ways, the standalone movie, it's a pretty good movie. It's a little hard to follow for some people, for just a standalone movie.
Yeah, if you don't know the
But
backstory.
yeah, but like as a series, it's good. It's really good. I mean, you gotta think of the Marvel Cinematic Universe as less of a movies, single movies, and more as like
Right.
a
Right.
TV show where the episodes are just feature-length films.
Yeah.
And when you think of it as a
Extremely
TV
long.
show, it's a pretty good TV show. The
Mm-hmm.
Right.
budget for each film blows Game of Thrones single episode budgets out of the water. You know, stories are good,
That
and
is
as
true,
a TV
yeah.
show, it's one of the best out there. I think like a
Mhm.
multi. If you want video, where videos are movies instead of episodes.
Mm-hmm.
So
The
yeah,
one
that's what I
complaint.
like
really-
to say.
That's a really cool way of putting that. I never thought about thinking of it like that. I like that. I like that a lot, actually.
The one
Yeah.
complaint I heard about the movies were when you're watching them in theaters, they were so long, people were having to get up just to stretch, or like
Yeah.
go to the bathroom. Like
Yeah.
I
The
Honestly,
last two
think
Avengers movies were long. I will
if
say.
a movie is over, if it's over 3 hours, you know, those were over 3 hours, right?
I don't know if I don't know if Infinity War broke the 3-hour mark, but I know Endgame did.
Yeah.
I think if a movie's over 3 hours, they should have
Intermission.
an intermission in the middle.
Like
Not
a
only is
break.
it good for the theater because people are gonna buy stuff during it, but like people just need a break to like
Yeah.
go to the bathroom.
relax.
This is another topic for.
Think
Right.
about that when you watch like Lord of the Rings Special Edition, and you've got that, you know, that the classic CD break halfway through,
Yeah.
3.5, 4 hours of
Thank-
movie.
Thank the Lord for the CDs not being large enough to carry both of those the entire movie.
You get to go to the bathroom. Oh, that's
Just
fun.
don't want to
boy.
get up for a minute.
To
But
get the blood clots out of the legs.
yeah,
Exactly.
I think another cool thing for comic books when you think of like, yeah, I don't know if you want to call it nostalgia or whatever, but like you've got so many different versions of Batman, you know,
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
and angles that people take, and no matter what you do to Batman, people always are hungry for more and coming back to it. You know what I mean? No matter how much they may gut one with one or have a good one here, you can always kind of come back to it. You know,
Yeah.
the Spider-Man franchise has been going in and out for.
Oh god.
They have what, if you include the Spider-Verse now, 4 different like
Or different universes.
post 2000 universes,
Yep.
which is, you know, pretty big. You know,
Yeah.
the first trilogy is kind of considered a classic. The second one kind of a hard knockoff. Marvel did a good job with the Homecoming and Far
Yeah.
From Home, but then Sony said, I don't like you anymore. We'll talk about that. But then Into the
Right.
Spider-Verse was a whole nother thing in itself. And people love Spider-Man. That's
Mhm.
why Into the Spider-Verse was so successful. You know, that's why when Spider-Man came to the Avengers, it was huge. You know, because you're just returning to a character that everyone loves, and there's
Yeah.
just so much backstory to him or lore behind it that there's so many different angles you could go with it.
I agree. I completely agree.
The
I
only
think
thing that
when you- what's up?
the only thing that the Marvel Cinematic Universe Spider-Man never cashed in on was the with great power comes great responsibility. I don't think they ever said that. Did they?
Interesting.
It's like the most iconic.
I think Tony
line in
Stark kind of
all-
maybe. I think Tony Stark may have had a moment like that in the first one.
I don't think they never said the
They
line.
didn't quote it. They didn't quote it. I don't
Yeah,
think. But
that
I
is,
think
like,
they had a similar
the
feeling.
line.
Yeah.
So I'm surprised they didn't cash in on the nostalgia. That
Right.
line.
Maybe they were saving it for the third one. That isn't gonna happen now.
Yeah. Or the fourth. It's
Yeah,
not
they
gonna
were
happen
juicing
either.
it.
What do you guys think of the person that's playing Spider-Man now?
Tom Holland?
Yeah,
Seems
the
like a good
British
guy.
guy.
Yeah.
Or the
he-
British
he-
kid. I don't know how old he is, but he
I
seems
think he's
young.
like 22.
Right, all right.
Really?
Yeah, he's our age.
Okay. I didn't know he was that old.
Interesting.
He definitely
I'd
made a name
like-
for the character.
He's definitely looks like the youngest Spider-Man.
Definitely.
Yeah.
100%.
He's 23.
100%.
And they, like
Fact check,
Andrew
fact check.
Garfield's. That guy did not look like he was a high schooler.
No. Gosh,
Um,
no.
Oh, I can't think of his name. It was the
Tobey Maguire.
yeah Tobey
Yep.
Maguire.
Toby.
He looked like he could have been 30. Honestly, I would believe that Spider-Man was 30.
In high
But-
school.
Yeah.
At least they
whatever.
only had one movie for that when he was in high school.
Yeah, that's true.
That's hilarious.
Saved him.
I love watching old
I-
movies, though. That's like one of my things I like.
Yeah, you
Video
like the
games is one
classics.
thing. Old movies that I purchase on DVD for that reason specifically, because they're not on Amazon, Netflix, YouTube, anything.
Yeah.
Oh,
I have a
really?
DVD copy of certain movies or TV series. The Sopranos, right behind me. It's on a
Box
shelf.
set.
It's not opened though, but I've seen them all.
Oh, yeah.
But if I ever want to break that out, you know what I mean, I can roll with it. You know.
Mhm.
Boondock Saints. I mean, it's just like all the old movies that you guys are talking about. Just brings you back, man. As a kid, eating popcorn with your mom on the couch.
Nostalgia. It's a powerful
Mhm.
thing, you know.
Feels good, man.
It's
Yeah.
it's like worth something, you know.
Mm-hmm.
Hmm.
You
You
can
could def.
change, you can convert that to a monetary value. You probably could.
Uh-huh.
How
You
much is
definitely feel
nostalgia
that.
worth?
Yeah, that's a good point you make about the movies. Like, you definitely feel that when you still watch like older or more like classic movies. You could say right nowadays that it came out in like the '90s, '80s, before that, like, before 2000s, basically, right?
Hmm.
And you watch it, and you still get the feels from it, and you enjoy it. And it's still like iconic. You know what I mean? Like, it doesn't lose that juice that it had when it first like came out, or was like it was a thing.
Yeah.
So it's really big and cool. You guys can probably attest this more than I can, but music definitely has a lot of nostalgia to it when it comes to like bands doing covers
Hmm.
for older songs, and
Just older
just
music
like
in general.
yeah, when you listen, yeah, I guess you could say maybe even now. I don't know if it's like now per se, but like there's definitely movements that have gone around where people are like more into like the younger generations in music instead of like what's going on now. You know what I
Hmm.
mean?
Hmm.
Totally.
And people
Yeah.
like sinking in on that.
I mean,
I don't know if you guys could like shed some light on that.
some classic examples are Weezer doing the Africa by Toto cover,
Hmm.
where they quite literally just redid the song. You know,
Mm-hmm.
they barely
Much
changed
better
anything
too.
on it. Yeah.
Right.
And then a big thing in like hip hop and R&B is they'll sample older songs. That's been going on for
I love when they do
30,
that.
30 almost years. Like Ariana Grande's, I want to say it's Seven Rings. I don't know if that's what it's actually called, but she borrows the beat from the Sound of Music song,
Oh, really? Wow.
Favorite Things. She borrows that and uses it as like her intro and
Huh.
almost the
Interesting.
chorus, I think and then she also uses a rap song that I can never remember the name of, but you recognize it when you hear it. So
Mm-hmm.
there's so many examples of that,
It's
especially with the
very subtle
samples.
too. Very
Mm-hmm.
subtle.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You like know it's there, but it's like, where's it from? You know what I mean? It's like it's not
Mhm.
obvious, but you just know. It's like that's not her. That's not his or her song.
Yeah.
Obviously, I think there's some sort of licensing agreement between each other. Obviously, you can't just rip
Yeah.
a sample. I don't know how that works though. I'm not a producer or
Not a
artist.
guru when it comes to that.
Yeah, I just listen to music. But what I was gonna say was, I love like I don't know if you guys or your parents listened to country music at all when you were a kid in the car. One comes on, I know every word of that song. You know what I mean? It's like the weirdest.
Country music fan?
My mom was,
Oh,
but
but you still remember it all?
when one comes on, like
Yeah.
Toby Keith,
Yeah.
it's just like, dude, it's like how do I know all these? How do I know every lyric to this song?
Yeah,
And same with old school rock, Led Zeppelin, Styx,
Yeah.
The Police, The Doors. I mean, like, it's insane, dude. It's
Mhm.
crazy how it's always in your head, but then when it's not there, when it comes back, you remember it. Obviously, it's in a way
Mhm.
that you can remember it easily to the beat or to the rhythm, and it
Yeah.
flows out.
No, that's definitely true. I
It's
can relate to
interesting.
like the classic rock stuff and stuff like that.
Hmm.
Yeah, music definitely has the feel. I guess thinking about that, it's just like how instead of like a band nowadays creating like a new feel song like from like Journey, Don't Stop Believing, instead of someone kind of trying to recreate like something new around that same context, it's just like it's Journey. Everyone
Right.
knows that, and everyone gets hit in the feels when that goes on,
Hmm.
no matter what environment you're in.
Bon Jovi, "Living on a Prayer." Come on,
Yeah.
everyone's singing at the
Classics,
club.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
But then I feel like this movement of like sampling older songs and beats
Mm-hmm.
and reusing them, it's sort of like gone a little too far in some sense. Where
Okay.
a recent example, DJ Khaled, he released. You guys probably don't listen to him, but he released a new song not too long ago. It was earlier this summer, I think, where he uses the beat from Miss Jackson by Outkast.
Hmm.
You guys ever heard that song?
Yes.
Where you instantly recognize the song as soon as you hear that beat. But like he uses that beat and it's an entirely new song. Like
Right.
it doesn't and he just feels like he's literally just ripping it off of there and
Mhm.
just trying to cash in on that quick nostalgia, and it doesn't really work with the song too much. It just so I, it's it's gone a little far, and it's gotten to the point where it's just instead of doing it where you're adding it to your music, some people
Mhm.
are just taking it to take the nostalgia and then putting other music on top of it.
Mhm.
It doesn't really
Okay.
add to the
Doesn't, like,
original.
add
It's just
anything.
I don't like that. Yeah.
yeah, I know it.
Too
If you
far,
ever,
like you said.
yeah, if you ever get a chance, listen to that song, and you just instantly, if you just, it's just like, it's definitely is not as good as the original, and
Mhm.
it tries to be, doesn't try to help add to the original. It's just trying to be something else, using the original work. And
Hmm. He's gonna come find
Yeah.
you now that you said that.
yeah, I know. Hopefully, Jay Khaled is coming for me.
I'd like listening to old Drake songs, and that
Oh,
puts
yeah.
me back to high school, which was a great time in my life. I loved high school. Drake, I mean, I listen to everything though. I can listen to classical music, and I can listen to some hardcore metal or rap and love it. You know what I mean? It just depends on how
Mhm.
you are.
Yeah, I was never a big. The only genre of music I could never really get into was metal, and I.
Not like death metal. Like a
No,
Slipknot.
yeah.
Slipknot was probably the hardest I've ever listened to.
Uh-huh.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. Even like that, even like Metallica. Unfortunately, this is a hot statement, but I was never really a
Metallica.
fan of it. So
Really? Enter Sandman,
yeah,
that 9-minute song?
yeah. I don't know. It just never did it for me.
Ryan, what about you?
I like to understand, man. I liked a couple Metallica
You
songs.
like Metallica? Did you guys get any of
Yeah.
the Guitar Heroes? Like, what happened to the tactile games back in the day? Guitar Hero, Rock Band, DJ Hero. Where did
The
that?
beat games, you know,
Yeah, those.
it was
Yeah,
a
yeah.
fad, dude. You know,
It
it
just
came and it went.
died. That's
Actually, a recent like rhythm game like that, you know, the VR game Beat Saber.
Beat Saber.
Yep.
Yep. I knew you
Mhm.
were gonna
Beat
say
Saber
that.
is it's a rhythm game. It's the same as DDR. It's very similar to Guitar Hero. You know, you're matching your movements. Like instead of it's being this, you're swinging your sword to the beat of a song, and it's the same feel, honestly.
You
Yeah.
can go play that at a like an arcade kind of
Yeah,
thing,
arcades have them now.
and it's.
Yeah.
I didn't play that one particularly. I played like a zombie killing game for about an hour total.
Mhm.
Obviously, paid money to do it, and I was addicted. I
Yeah.
can't wait till VR actually comes out, which is going to be insane.
I
For
mean,
like,
I actually have VR right now.
well, more of like a cost effective VR.
Yeah, that's true.
You know what I mean? Like so
Still like
everyone can have
$1,000
it.
almost.
Yeah,
So.
that sounds like not a good ROI.
You
But
gotta
yeah,
be really into it. Really, it
you
kinda
gotta have the
is.
Yeah.
space too. You gotta have the space.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Another thing.
luckily you can see the basement's pretty big, so
Right. That
make
treadmill's
a
gotta
can make a
move
space.
though.
Yeah, oh yeah.
Yeah.
Luckily that has wheels, so it just rolls back.
Yeah. So what do you guys think about the Player Ready One? Do you think it ever is going to be like that? I know we're kind of getting off nostalgia. Do you guys see that movie, Player Ready One?
I saw
That
most
movie-
of it.
I didn't finish it, but I know what you're talking about when it comes to
Like how they're
the
sitting on a
reality of
treadmill
VR.
and they're
Deep
like
Yeah.
neural
hoisted.
VR almost.
they live in it, dude.
Mhm.
They don't.
Yeah.
They're not deep, man. They're in that game. It is
Yeah.
crazy. I think it's gonna be like that one day.
Maybe one. I don't know if we'll ever see it, but
Really.
because it
Mhm.
it has to interface with the brain, you know.
Yeah.
And
Well, that's kind of
right
like the
now we
Matrix,
just
right?
have no idea how to interface with the brain. We don't even know how the brain works, let alone how to interface with it.
What about
Yeah.
Elon Musk's like Neuralink? Heard anything about that?
I thought that was honestly, I thought that was just a meme. I didn't know that was
It could be a meme.
something he's
Um,
actually putting. I don't believe. Or
Who
I don't
knows,
doubt
man?
that he's.
Gonna
He's
put
one of
money
the
into it.
fastest
Yeah.
cars in the world, and it's electric. I mean,
Yeah,
he's
he's
done
got
a
the
lot.
fast acceleration, the ludicrous package.
And the new one that's coming out is supposed to be faster than that,
Yeah,
which is insane.
it's. I mean, one of the big like limiting factors for gas engines is just the upper end of how much power you can spit out at one time.
Right.
Whereas electric, you can get that a little bit higher, where
Mm-hmm.
you get those wheels turning, you get the torque up. I think it's torque.
Yeah.
There's almost so much torque you can apply with gas engines, whereas electric, it's
More unlimited.
the upper limit's a little bit higher. So that's
Electric
why
cars
it's so
definitely
fast.
cool. That's like a whole another conversation itself when it comes to like electric cars and everything.
Right. That's we went a little off topic there, but
Yeah. So yeah, I mean like to say it in summary, like definitely like a lot of I feel like after all of that, everything that we just talked about was very current, right?
right.
So that's maybe saying in a statement that a lot of what society, entertainment, and life is now is about nostalgia and recreating the past feels of things instead of maybe creating something new or living even in the present. You're looking
Mhm.
more towards what worked in the past and going for that instead of going for something new. And when you do that, you might miss out on like new opportunities, new things. You want to live with no regrets every day, and when you are living in the past with all these things, it's kind of hard to live a life of present tea and no regrets with things.
Not even one letter?
So
Not even one letter?
one letter.
You guys didn't see We Are the Millers?
Oh,
The guy
Is that a
with the
movie or a
chef's
show?
tattoo? No, it's a movie. He had no regrets on his, but he spelled it wrong.
oh, no regrets. Yeah.
I'm sorry, Ryan. I didn't mean to do that to you.
I believe it. I can't spell.
But,
That's funny.
yeah, honestly, I've been feeling that a little bit recently too, because I feel like with Netflix and instant streaming platforms, they don't do a very good job of like getting you to watch new stuff. I find myself rewatching things I've already seen a lot more than
Mm-hmm.
trying out a new show or a new movie.
Yeah.
Maybe it's just me personally, but I mean, even
No.
with like the memes online, like how many times have people seen The Office? Dozens. Look, people
many.
literally rewatched that show dozens of times. And
Friends.
Friends, like the classics like that. Parks and
I-
Rec is another one.
Yeah, I just
My
rewatched
sister's
Breaking
literally
Bad.
rewatching that right
Yeah.
above me right now. So
Mm-hmm. I just rewatched Breaking Bad. Actually, we finished
yeah,
it, and it was insane for the second time. You know what I mean? Crazy TV show. I recommend it to anyone who hasn't seen it.
yeah, yeah. I've seen it, and I've been thinking about rewatching it, but rewatching shows, you don't have time to watch new ones.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
So you don't have time to experience new things. So that's what I've been trying to, instead of rewatching stuff, go
Uh-huh.
and watch a show I haven't watched, give it a shot.
It's
And-
almost like when we talked about before, you can compare that to entertainment or whatever. Just in general, like return on investment is you want the safer bet,
I know that I like this
I-
show.
Yeah, I know that I
Mhm.
like that. I know
Mhm.
that I want to put a movie on right now while I'm doing something. I know I'll enjoy this movie. I'm gonna watch that instead of putting something new on.
What if I don't
Totally
like
agree.
it? What if I waste 2 hours, or like a TV show? What if I waste 3 weeks watching this show? And I don't like it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But
Exactly.
if I know I'll enjoy. So it's, it's a toxic. It's like it's nostalgia. It's like a drug. You're gonna,
You know,
you're
they're
gonna
gonna,
get your fix.
they're
Right.
gonna get you back for more.
Exactly.
So
Totally.
So that was cool. I definitely everyone kind of feels the same about that, which is
Yeah.
really cool.
And we all grew up in that age. And we're all the same age, pretty much. We all grew up with that. So now when it's coming back, in a full cycle, like history repeats itself. It feels good, and obviously it's kind of trying to appeal to the new, younger generation. But to the people that are already alive and already seen it, it's such a good feeling, man. It's such a good feeling.
Mm-hmm.
Makes you feel old in a way too.
yeah.
Old without being old, as it were.
Exactly. Exactly.
Yes. So that's gonna wrap it up for us today, guys.
Bingo, bingo.
I hope you enjoyed the topic of nostalgia. Thank you, Mike, for coming on the show and
Yeah, thank
Thanks
you
for having me.
discussions. Yes, of course. You're always welcome here. We have a couple of announcements to make in regards to where you guys can watch us and
Let's
find
do it.
us. So, David, where can the viewers find us at?
So what I know from what you've told me, we are currently on Google Podcasts, Stitcher, Spotify, obviously live on Facebook, Mixer, Twitch, and YouTube all at the same time, which is a huge thing that we started to do. And I feel like I don't know if we're like the only ones that do that, but I think we're pretty. That's huge.
At the leading edge, dude.
Yeah, no,
We're-
I told you that
we're
was
peaking.
really cool when I saw that you were doing that with your streams. Like, I never thought about that, and that is ingenious to start, like, to help grow. the
Imagine a
platform.
big net right now in my hands, and I'm just throwing it
Yeah.
over the people that watch or that consume live streaming.
Mm-hmm.
Uh-huh.
And,
Yeah, I actually,
Everywhere.
it's crazy.
I actually watched the last episode. Not watched. I listened to the last episode on Spotify. Just
Bingo.
had it going. I listened to half of it in my car when I was driving to and from school the other day.
Mhm.
Finished it today while I was like doing some work on my computer.
Very cool, Mike. Very
Yeah,
cool.
it's it's convenient to be able to. There's so many options.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Spotify is convenient in some senses, but maybe another time you want to watch the VOD on YouTube or something.
Exactly.
It's,
You know
it's
what I
good
forgot
to have
too?
options.
SoundCloud. We were on SoundCloud.
Oh, yeah, there you go. That too.
Yeah, we'll
Yeah.
on SoundCloud.
And
Yeah.
Ryan's obviously going to make all those links happen underneath the YouTube video and everywhere else. We're just going to start spamming it on everything.
Yep.
So if you want to watch or listen to the podcast, obviously watch on YouTube, listen to it on every platform besides Apple. We're still trying to figure that out, right, Ryan?
Yeah, the application's still in process. Hopefully within the next couple days or week.
Right? And eventually
they'll get
iHeartRadio podcasts.
submitted. Yeah, man, you said you had a
Is that
hookup
a
for
thing?
something like
Oh,
that.
wow.
Yeah, David said he had.
Yeah, I did have a
Yeah.
hookup, but he hasn't been on Discord since I last talked to him. So
Oh, that's fine. It's still
Maybe-
a hookup, right? And just because it's on the Discord
Yeah.
doesn't mean there's no hookup there.
we'll figure it out. iHeartRadio's on its
Well,
way.
hopefully you'll see. Yeah.
Yeah.
Right.
So like David said, links to everything is in the description. I also want to say thank you for everyone who's joined the Facebook page and group. That is currently our current like platform and website, you could say. Everything is focusing on going on a lot of conversations. So if anyone has any topic ideas or guests that you want to have on the show or anything like that, put it in the comments. Let us know, and we would love to hear again feedback and anything you have to say about the show. I want to thank everyone for tuning in and listening.
I just want to thank Mike once again, and I want to thank everyone that was in the chat. Unfortunately, I couldn't see any of the chat rooms today when I was live streaming, but we'll fix that for next time. And yeah, leave comments, like the video, follow, do everything of that nature. Share the video when it eventually comes out, and then another one in the books, Ryan.
Yeah, sounds good. Mike, thanks for coming on.
Yeah. Thanks for having me again. It's nice
We will
talking to
talk
all
to-
of you guys. So.
That's
You
good.
guys have a great day.